A little over a year ago, in January of 2024, the Lunduk Journal published an article and video detailing Microsoft's policies towards gender transitioning young children, including as young as 3 years old. The company had health insurance policies, mandatory ones, to gender transition and do sex changes of 3-year-olds and encouraged their employees to do so. We went through at the time all of the details on it, including publishing much of the details from their internal report on the topic. And now here we are in 2025. It is March of 2025. There's a new president in office. Many states have reaffirmed what is just simply obvious, that you cannot gender transition young children. You cannot give young children sex change operations. That's insane. But Microsoft's still doing it. In fact, if you look at Microsoft's corporate policies around this, it has remained unchanged in all of that time, including their Premera Blue Cross supplemental health insurance policy. I say supplemental, but it's mandatory. All employees have to pitch in for this, whether they want their children to be having sex change operations or not. Here's a PDF from Premera.com. Microsoft Gender Affirming Benefit Information. Premera Blue Cross administers the gender affirming benefit for eligible Microsoft members. Specifically, and we'll just scroll down here to a key part of it here. There's a spot on here. I'm just going to do a search. Child. Oh, look at this. Is gender affirming medical treatment for children covered? Yes. Yes. Surgical interventions are considered when appropriate, and the plan covers all non-surgical medical treatments such as hormone therapy and the like. So here we are in 2025, and Microsoft is still pushing sex changes on young children. I'm going to read a little bit from my report from last year, because this is the only report that's been done on this at all. There has been not one news outlet on planet Earth that is covering the fact, despite the fact that I've provided all the details to them, that Microsoft is actively promoting and encouraging their employees and paying for it, for their employees to give sex changes to their toddlers. It's insane, it's outlandish, it's crazy, and it's downright evil. I'm going to read a little bit from my reporting here, because it's the only reporting that exists. Let's see here. The Lunduk Journal has received leaks of a confidential whistleblower within Microsoft that show a concerted efforts to gender transition children as young as 3 years old, including guides for Microsoft employees of trans children, corporate support groups to encourage transitioning children, and mandatory health insurance add-ons, which cover transgender treatment and services for family members, including children. This comes from a 2019 report commissioned by Microsoft entitled Gender Identity and the Dynamic Workforce, Creating an Inclusive Workplace. This is the front image of that document. Now, why I mentioned this here, the date. This has been going on at least for the last 6 years at Microsoft. 6 years of pushing for children of employees to get gender transitioned. And it really is encouraging. Specifically, this comes from a study put together by an organization called WFD Consulting. Microsoft paid for this study to provide them actionable recommendations that they could use within their organization. While there are several concerning sections of this 96-page report, let's jump to Chapter 6, which specifically deals with providing gender-affirming care to children and encouraging Microsoft employees to pursue that avenue with their children. This section focused entirely on transitioning children, is roughly 15 pages long, and consists of a combination of quotes from employees along with recommendations, including this story of a 3-year-old girl whose parents transitioned her into a boy. I'm not going to read this to you now. It's on screen, and you can go check out the article, which I will link to wherever I am including this show, so you can read all of these details for yourself. That way you don't have to take my word for it. One thing that should be pointed out here, this particular report that has been used with inside Microsoft and continues to be used with inside Microsoft was temporarily made publicly available. This can be verified every which way from Sunday. You can go look this up. WFD Consulting published this. Microsoft published this during one of their events. There was a bit of a backlash around it, so they removed it publicly, but the company continues to push it internally and use it as the holy grail of how to make trans children. The report includes stories about children ranging from 3 years old up to the teen years. The fact that toddlers were included in this is absolutely horrifying. According to the Lunduk Journal source, quote, "This report was trumpeted and celebrated by many within Microsoft." As the report goes on, it gets into specific recommendations and advice for Microsoft employees on how to assist their children in transitioning their gender, including a section, "After realization or disclosure, the journey begins." A sense of urgency was also applied. Microsoft employees were warned that they must make decisions about gender-affirming care quickly, as there is a, quote, "ticking clock for puberty blockers," end quote. Once again, there's a lot of details in here that are worth reading over that you can see on screen, or you can go check out the article for all of the details. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, nerds and nerdettes across the inner tubes, I do declare, end broadcast.